53 and 38. And a 3-game lead over the Rangers. 1-1 to Figgins. Royals drop to 37 and 55 and trying to avoid their second 8-game losing streak of the year. And Figgins into deep left. But that wind is still knocking the ball down, and Jesus makes the play. So Sean Figgins 0 for 6 today, going back to game 1 of the doubleheader, and 0 for 16 against the Royals. Beautiful night for game 2, 71 degrees. We started at 7:45 Central Daylight Time. And the official time and temp presented by the parking spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCI. And it's supposed to be a beautiful sunny day again tomorrow. Eric Ibar, 3 hits, 3 runs scored in game 1. Trying to bunt his way on. Ryan Lefebvre with Frank White and Joel Goldberg.
Last game, and we've seen that over the years for doubleheaders, but now the people have filed in. The sun has come out, and
Eric Ibar is going to end up at second base, Joel, where I think Alberto Callaspo got mixed up, couldn't tell which object coming his way was the bat and which one was the ball.
Well, the bat is always a concern when it's coming your direction because you don't know whether you're going to be able to avoid it and make the play. But he sort of just froze right there. Yeah, it's almost like I see both, and then he realizes that the ball is what I want, but I'm seeing too many objects.
Joel, your thoughts?
Yeah, I saw it from here as well. I might have seen it a little bit better than Caspo, but a little bit easier to see with the bat not coming at you from right field. Anyway, the crowd is great down here. It has really filled in. I've already seen some faces that were here before, but now it's filled in. Great buzz in the air. We had one of the best crowds we've had at Rivals for the post-game/pre-game show earlier tonight, and people having a good time, and things have warmed up, and good time out here on the party port. Back upstairs to you.
Well, there's a reason for that, Joel.
Why is that?
Well, you know, they all read that big spread in the Kansas City Star, and they want to come out, and they just want to be close to you. And I imagine, I'll bet some fans just wanted to come up and touch you.
Well, I haven't heard that one yet.
You're supposed to feel it.
No, I haven't heard it, felt it, or seen it. I thought that's usually reserved for Frank. And as far as the newspaper, the only person that continuously keeps asking me to sign it would be Royals Hall of Fame pitcher Paul Splittorff. I told him that I will not do so until the Royals win a game when he's broadcasting this year.
Do us a favor, though, Joel.
Yes.
You're kind of leaning on the counter there in the Pepsi party porch.
I'm not going down to talk to Jose.
No, the fella next to you there looks like a Royals fan. Ask him if he read that spread in the Star. Ryan
wants to know if you're enjoying the game.
Yes, I am.
There you go. Back to you. Thoughts?
You're so modest. Yeah, the reason why Split wants you to sign that, Joel, is because in all his years as a Hall of Fame pitcher and as a top-notch broadcaster, he hasn't come close to having a spread in the local newspaper like you have.
That's a foul ball. Well, must have been a slow news day. How's that? Frank? David Boyce? Anyone?
Well, I really thought the writer forgot your first name because every paragraph started with Goldberg.
Well, that's the way they write them, right? I mean, when you're known around here as Frank, you don't need to say White.
Great article, Joel.
Thank you.
I'm going to frame it.
That's Chen on the hill, if you're keeping track.
And he's 2-2 on Bobby Abreu. 1 for 5 in game 1, but that doesn't tell the whole story. 3 times he hit it right on the nose, but out. And he has a little RBI streak going with 9 RBIs in his last 9 games. 2 hottest hitters right now for the Angels, Abreu and Kendry Morales, who has a 19-game hitting streak, but Morales not in the lineup for game 2. Bruce Chen going for his first big league win since September of 2005 when he's pitching for the Orioles, and the Orioles were in Seattle. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Abreu also stole a base in game 1, giving him 20 this year, and also giving him 11 consecutive seasons with at least 20 stolen bases. To Bloomquist, who's at second base for game 2. Abreu is out. Ibar to third, 2 down. Go back to spring training and remember Willie Bloomquist was competing with Alberto Callaspo and Mark Teahan for the everyday second base job.
Well, it's amazing what injuries will do for your ball club and also do for your career. And I think Alex Gordon going down has really helped Willie Bloomquist's career because he's been able to play more games, get more at bats, and perform more admirably with the bat than in any previous years. So from that standpoint, Alex's injury has really helped Willie Bloomquist.
1-0 on Mike Napoli. 2 hits and a home run in game 1. His home run coming right after the Royals scored 2 in the bottom of the 5th to take a 5-4 lead, their only lead of the game. Ponson on the mound in the 6th, his second pitch. Napoli hit a bomb to left field, which ricocheted off the bottom of the Hall of Fame. That tied the game. The Angels added another run and ran away, winning 8-5. Two and one. In regard to Bloomquist at second base, Willie was not supposed to play at second base in game 2. He was supposed to be in right field. Mark Teahan was in an original starting lineup that Trey Hillman presented before game 1. He had both of his lineups figured out. Teahan was in there, and Teahan not in there when the lineup was announced. So Trey had to do some shuffling around. Mark making the final out of the game, striking out against Brian Fuentes in the bottom of the 9th. Three and 2 on Napoli.
Well, this is one thing that Bruce Chen's got to do, Ryan. He's got to locate, and he did a great job locating this ball on the outside corner. And just make sure that when he throws his changeup goes down. He's done a great job. He did a great job right there making Napoli reach for that ball.
Ryan Friel in center field makes the play, and the Angels leave Ibar at third base. Bloomquist, Billy Butler, Jose Guillen will bat 4th. He hit 5th in game 1. Alberto Callaspo moves up and plays at third base. Mike Jacobs the DH. John Buck in there catching. Ryan Friel in center. Unievsky Betancourt at shortstop. And for the first time ever, the Royals face right-hander Sean Sullivan.
He's a sinker baller, Ryan. 4-seam fastball, 87 to 93 miles per hour. So if he's getting the ball down, it's going to be tough on the Royals. But changeup is his best pitch, and they will throw it at any time. So that's kind of scary right there. So it must be a real good changeup.
So a rookie making a start against the Royals, which usually is good news, but not this year. Rookies are 10-4 against KC this year. 2 hits, 2 walks for David DeJesus in game 1. So on base 4 times, stolen base, scored twice. Led off the bottom of the 9th with a walk against Brian Fuentes, but that was the only base runner the Royals could produce. Fuentes retired the next 3 for his 29th save. Over Figgins towards the corner. Quinlan on it in a hurry. So DeJesus holds with a single, but another hit for David. And the leadoff man on.
Yeah, that was not only a hit by David. That was a line drive. I mean, he really tattooed this ball. This ball was by Figgins before he realized it, and Quinlan did an excellent job getting on this ball. And I think mainly because David's been going that direction a lot more, and he's been playing toward the line. But that ball there, David just stayed behind and really smoked it.
Billy Bloomquist 1 for 5 in game 1. He's hit in 4 straight. Oh, and 1 from Sullivan. With the injuries to particularly Aviles and Crisp, Willie Bloomquist has kind of been the Royals' regular shortstop / center fielder.
He's been a little bit of everything, and facing a guy like Sullivan in the first start, he's a sinker baller, which means that you'll get a lot of ground balls, and Royals hitting a lot of double plays. So that'd be kind of nice to really get something going in his first inning, kind of get him off his game, off his rhythm, and try to take advantage of the inexperience.
21 years old. This is his first year in the big leagues. That's why he's a rookie.
No comment.
He pitched in 4 games for the Angels and then was sent to the minor leagues, where he made 1 start and only lasted 4 innings. He gave up a couple of home runs to Eric Young Jr. And then when Eric Young Jr. came up a 3rd time, he hit him and was ejected from the game. DeJesus was running as Bloomquist fouls it away. Didn't get a whole lot of work in that 1 start in the minor leagues. Called back up. And the timing was pretty good for the Angels to have an extra arm when you're playing a doubleheader. Even though there was a rain out yesterday, you can risk having to use a lot of pitchers in one day, depending how deep the starters go. 2-2 on Bloomquist. O'Sullivan taken by the Angels in the 3rd round of 2005. He's from San Diego. He was on his way to San Diego State. And Bloomquist up the middle. Ibar right at the bag. No double play. Angels tried to turn a few double plays in the first game. They did turn 1, but what they did a good job of several times on ground balls getting the lead runner.
They managed the game very well, and they didn't try to do no more than they can do. And here Ibar sees that he's got a shot at it at first base. They just want to make sure he gets a nice throw over there. But you're right, Ryan. They did a super job managing the game.
And now Billy Butler with Bloomquist at first base. 1 for 4 in game 1 with the 2-run home run with 1 out in the 5th inning against Irvin Santana, hitting the green light on a 3-0 pitch. Willie was 16 stolen bases, only been thrown out twice. A little bit inside, ball 1. Billy back at first base in game 2 after being the DH in the first game. Mark Teahan hitting his first start at first. And played very well, handling a hot shot late in the game. Really wasn't tested that much, but that is not a difficult transition for him, or in the times we saw Alex Gordon move from third base over to first. But Billy, I'm sure, happy that he's back at first base for game 2 and doesn't want to be labeled a DH.
Now, he has a lot of pride in that fact, and that he, like you say, did a lot of work over the offseason, agility, working on his trimming down and losing some weight. And to this point, he's been okay over there. I mean, he's been a lot better than I think a lot of people thought he would be. And like every game with him is a learning experience. So I think by the end of the year, he should have learned a lot and can go, maybe come in the next spring with a lot more confidence at that position.
On a 2-1 pitch, shallow right. Willits coming up, can't make the play. Bloomquist is going to go to third, and Butler into second. Nobody was covering the bag. Ibar coming in late. Second and third, 1 out.
Well, Sullivan gets his pitch in on Billy, but he has the ability to get inside these balls, Ryan, and keep from jamming himself, and he did a good job. Willits came in, tried to make the great play. He got there, but was able to knock the ball back toward center field. Matthews came over, but Bloomquist never quit running, and with Butler seeing second base open, he continued into second base. Alboy really went down a little bit too low. He should have came right back to second base, and that may have kept Billy from going, but I doubt it. It was a good hustle double on Billy's part.
And now that situation that has plagued the Royals all year. Runner at third base, less than 2 outs. So Jose Guillen, after the Royals couldn't get any runners home with the bases loaded in the 3rd inning. Bases loaded, nobody out. With 2 outs, he came through with a 2-run single. At the knees, 1-1.
No, this is a huge inning for the Royals here, Ryan, right here in the 1st inning to get something on the board and get something going. And I think that for Bruce Chen, it would help a lot for him too. But for overall, just for overall team morale, it'd be great to get something going right here, because these are situations right here that they've had a lot of trouble. And with O'Sullivan getting these runs early will mean a lot to those guys.
Royals are 13th in the American League out of 14 teams, hitting with runners in scoring position this year with a .251 average. Guillen to short, and Butler not quite sure where he was going. The Royals will get a run, and Billy is out at third. So Guillen got the ground ball. The Royals take a 1-0 lead, but along the way, the Royals lose a runner in scoring position.
Well, this is a play here where Billy really shouldn't have tried to go to third base. The ball's in front of him, and he knows that there's a runner at first, and you have to treat it as if he's on second with nobody out. And then this is a play here where he maybe stays in the rundown a little longer. If Jose Guillen is really hustling, he might be able to get to second base.
So 6-5, 6-1, shortstop third, shortstop pitcher to get Butler. Iaspo taking ball one. Now those are the things that'll drive a manager crazy.
Well, I mean, everybody talks to the base runners. The third base coach is telling them, look, make sure the ball's behind you before you come over. The first base coach is yelling, you know, make sure the ball is behind you. But that ball's right in front of him. Right, I mean, that's easy. That's easy to read for a base runner. And you can tell by that look on Trey Hillman's face that he's probably thinking about, when is this going to change? You know, it's always something a little bit different right now, Ryan. If it's not the offense, it's the base running. The Raws really just need to pull it all together, and they'll have a lot more fun on the field.
Brandon Wood back to the bag to get Iaspo. That's the inning, but the Royals take the lead. And Guillen has driven in 3 in the doubleheader. These guys can't resist. I had bacon for breakfast. Gary Matthews Jr., Howie Kendrick, and Brandon Wood in the second inning. 0-1 on Matthews. 2 hits, 2 RBIs in game 1. You don't really care what I had for breakfast, do you? It's okay.
As long as you're healthy and as long as you like it. Did you have anything with it?
Yeah. Look at that. That's why you bring your glove.
That's why you bring your glove. You have more luck if you bring an empty glove than bring your own ball with your glove.
That's right. Ah, poor David Boyce. David up in the press box in game 1. Had a very playable foul ball hit his way. Didn't make the play, and as fate would have it, every single foul ball since then has been caught. Glove or no glove? One and 2 on switch hitter Gary Matthews Jr. 6 switch hitters in the lineup for the Angels in game 1. 4 in the second game as Turris and Morales are out. Bruce Chen been injured quite a bit lately and began his career in the National League, so not a whole lot of experience for guys in the starting lineup for the Angels in the second game, except for guys that have been around for a while like Abreu and Matthews. Shallow right. Jose Guillen makes the play. 1 down in the second inning. Royals are Bruce Chen's 10th major league team. Made his big league debut in 1998. He has faced the Angels 3 times in his career with no record and a 2.45 ERA. There's Howie Kendrick, who was sent to the minor leagues earlier this year to try and get his swing back. A little strange to see a 239 average next to Howie Kendrick's name.
Well, that's true, Ryan. He usually is a line drive hitter, right center field line drive hitter, a lot of patience. But you get to this level, and the thing about this level, Ryan, is adjusting. And if you don't adjust quickly, then you go down quickly. And I think that's what the Angels are trying to do with him, is just make sure that he doesn't get too down, that he can't come back. So you go back to the minor leagues, you think a little bit, work on your swing, and come back up here and see if you found it.
Three balls, 2 strikes. Outstanding numbers in the minor leagues for Howie Kendrick, and Mike Scioscia early in Kendrick's big league career predicted that he would win a batting title someday. Still 3-2. Did we have another catch on a foul ball? Wow. With a mouthful of hot dog. Caught by Bloomquist. Pretty good swing by Kendrick, but out. 2 down in the second inning. Final game of the series is tomorrow at 7:10. Brian Bannister for the Royals. Joe Saunders, who shut out the Royals back in May in Anaheim, 8-6. Royals Live begins at 6:30, and tomorrow's game is in high definition. 0-1 to Brandon Wood. Angels first round pick in 2003.
Now, Brandon's gone from shortstop to third base, now first base, and he likes the fastball up, Ryan, out over the plate. Good power to right center field, but we'll get into the pull mode, and that's been really the downfall of his swing right now.
Angels ready for him to do what he did in the big leagues, what he did in the minor leagues. He had some big power years, 43 home runs in 2005 in the minor leagues. Next year at Arkansas in 06, when you played against him, Frank, 25 home runs, 23 home runs a year after that, 31 home runs a year after that, but all those in the minor leagues. That's a foul ball.
I think one of the big things has been the ability to chase bad balls when behind in the count, and also the strikeouts. He will strike out a lot, and that was one of the negatives on his swing.
Full count. Bruce Chen's last outing was out of the bullpen on Saturday against Tampa Bay. It's a scoreless inning, only threw 10 pitches. His last start was in the Boston series before the All-Star break, and Red Sox pushed him around. He had 4 high-stress innings. Wood gets underneath it, and Jesus waiting for it to come down. Good start for Bruce Chen. 2 scoreless innings. Royals lead 1-0. Those three did not play in game one to face Sean O'Sullivan. Sinker is down and away. Jacobs had one of the Royals' biggest hits in the Tampa Bay series with a 3-run home run. 1 ball, 1 strike. He also had a 3-walk game in the Tampa Bay series, something he has never done in his career. One ball, 2 strikes. Fastball started inside. Napoli wanted that thing to ride back over the inside part of the plate. It's 2-2.
Ever since Greg Maddux invented that pitch, that's been a pitch of choice for a lot of pitchers, trying to steal that inside and outside corner.
And then going away, still 2-2. You know, Greg Maddux did some great things for himself, being able to sink and cut the ball, but I wonder in some ways overall if he set back a lot of other pitchers, because it seems like everyone now has to throw a sinker, everyone needs to throw a cutter. Lined right to Figgins, almost knocked him over. 1 down in the 2nd inning. Here's the You Call It presented by Sprint. The best catch of the day in the seats. A, the red shirt guy. B, the gray shirt guy reaching over the railing. C, blue shirt guy also reaching over the railing. Or D, the eating guy. Text 432-432. Enter keyword Royals followed by a space. And for those of you on the east side, try and ignore what's on that gentleman's windbreaker. He's going to get about 50% of the vote. 50% positive from Lawrence, 50% negative from Columbia.
Well, he's getting text messages already.
3-0 to John Buck. He might be voting for himself. Three and 1. It's only the 2nd start for John Buck since coming back from the disabled list. Trey Hillman has used him as a pinch hitter on a few occasions. Full count. Miguel Olivo, the better throwing catcher. And so Trey Hillman went with Olivo in all 3 games against Tampa Bay to try and cut down their running game. Olivo had a tough day at the plate in game 1 of the doubleheader. Still 3-2 on Buck. John Buck will get a little bit of help tonight with the Angels running game with Bruce Chen on the mound and a left-hand pitcher who should do a pretty good job of maybe not stopping the Angels running game, but at least slowing it down.
Well, he will, and he will throw over it as much as 3 times in a row, and that's why he gets so many pickoffs, because the runners at times will say he's going to the plate and he'll pick them off when they break.
Driven to left center. So Buck at second base with 1 out. Second double for the Royals in the first 2 innings.
When we're not playing a lot, Ryan, getting that first hit is huge right here. And O'Sullivan left this pitch up for John Buck, and he did a great job of getting on top of it. You can see how he just keeps his head right there, didn't pull off of it, wrist rolled after the swing, and drove the ball in the left center.
And now Ryan Friel. Friel in center field for game 2. Two and 0. And now Napoli wants to have a word with O'Sullivan. Mike Scioscia's team has won 24 of their last 33 games, scoring almost 7 runs per game over that stretch. What really got the Angels going was interleague play. They had the best record against the National League this year, 14-4. I don't think anyone realized the Angels would have the challenge that they've had so far in the West from the Rangers, whose pitching has really improved, and the Seattle Mariners, who have the best ERA in the league and just continue to hang in there. At one point, the Angels were behind Texas and Seattle in the standings. Now they have a 3-game lead. The Angels have really just dominated the American League West. They have won 4 of the last 5 American League West titles. Last year was their best year in franchise history. They won 100 games. And they had the West clinched by the middle of September. How many teams had their division clinched with 2 weeks to go in the season? The fastest that the Angels had ever clinched the Western Division. It was the fastest clinch in Western Division history, period. Still 3-2 on Friel.
That gives you a long time to sit around and play what would be considered meaningless games in terms of the standings. And you got some guys that are trying to pad their averages, and some guys are trying to end on a good note. But that's a long time to wait for that first playoff game to start.
You know, that doesn't always pay off. Lose your edge, you can lose your intensity.
Yeah, I think you just said the two good words there is edge and intensity, and if you can go down into the last week and clinch it with about 3 or 4 days left, I think that's usually a lot better than finishing 2 weeks early.
They were knocked out by the Red Sox in the first round of the playoffs. Friel bloops it over first. Buck to third. And Dave Owen is going to hold him there. And a pretty good throw by Kendrick going out from second base. But the Royals threatening again. First and third, 1 out.
Well, Friel does a good job of taking this inside fastball and fighting it off. And, you know, if you get on second base, he's got to get a good read. If he gets a good read on this ball, Ryan, he could actually score on this ball. But John Buck didn't get a good read. And you got to watch your third base coach. And if your third base coach is waving you, then that makes a big difference. So basically, Dave is probably seeing something that John can't see because he's looking from the back, where Dave's got a better angle on whether the ball's going to get caught or not. So that's why John Buck was a little tentative and trying to score on that ball.
And now Betancourt trying to avoid a strikeout and grounding into a double play. 1 for 4 with a run scored in game 1. Oh and 1. Tried to go with the same pitch and missed outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jacobs opened the inning with a bullet. A line out to third. Buck is doubled. Friel is singled. Sullivan thought that Friel might be taking off, which really wouldn't be that bad of an idea, trying to avoid the ground ball and the double play.
I was talking to Rusty Kuntz about Friel. He really likes the way he comes about, the way he goes about stealing bases. He thinks that in time, with enough playing time, Trey might put him up, give him the green light and let him run when he wants to. But I agree, Ryan, this is a great time to steal a base if you want to steal one.
Into right, not deep. Willits making the catch in foul territory. Buck coming to the plate, and it's up the line, gets away from Napoli, and the Royals lead 2-0.
Well, Willis does a great job, Ryan, here getting to the ball and makes a nice throw, and you'd rather have it up the line toward the runner than to the first base side. But I like the aggressiveness of the Royals right here. I think you're better off to be aggressive in this situation than to be conservative, and I think that was a great call by Dave Owens with 2 outs.
Buck had to go back and get home plate after sliding by it.
Well, the thing about that bat land right there, you got to think about that too. So the catcher's not going to move it for you, and if the next hitter can't get up there and get it in time, then you got to worry about sliding over that bat also.
So a couple of runs with some situational hitting. A runner at third in the first inning with less than 2 outs. A ground ball gets him home. A runner at third with less than 2 outs in the second inning, and a sac fly gets him home. Friel not running. The Angels thought he might be. DeJesus singled in the first inning, so he's 3 out of 4 in the doubleheader with 2 walks. To the plate 6 times, on base 5 times. Friel not running, and David takes over the inside corner, 1-1. Last homestand before the All-Star break, DeJesus' batting average was in the upper 230s. Got it up into the 250s right before the break. Now into the mid 260s as he just slowly is adding points to his average after a career year last year where he finished over 300. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Napoli instructing O'Sullivan to shake off a sign, and now he sets up inside and throws over to first.
It wouldn't be bad to try a stolen base hit, Ryan, with 2 outs. If you get thrown out, you got David DeJesus leading off the next inning, so that's not a bad thing right there.
And he'll get a clean count. Well, the Angels are thinking along with you. Two balls, 2 strikes. Royals don't have the fewest stolen bases in the American League. They have 48. That's 12th in the American League. But if you factor in caught stealing and total stolen base attempts, the Royals have attempted the fewest. And you wonder if that's something that might change in the second half. Just trying to find new ways to get runners moving, advance runners, getting them into scoring position.
Well, there's sort of a cat and mouse here between Socha and Hillman here. But with the count being 2-2, chances are the Angels won't pitch out here. They'll try to speed it up to the plate a little bit. And if Friel does take off, he'll be running somewhat under protection of the hitter. And it might turn out to be a first and third situation.
Not running, and it's 3-2. Now he's running for sure, and maybe just the threat of stealing took O'Sullivan out of his game, because the count went from 1-2 to 3-2, and now a good hitting count for DeJesus.
And sometimes you get so engrossed with throwing over to first base, and then all of a sudden you turn around and say, okay, I got to be a little quicker to the plate, and it can take you out of your rhythm.
And David pulls it to the right side. Kendrick throws him out. That's the inning, but the Royals add a run, 2-0 to the third. Is to vote for himself in the sprint, you call it, best catch of the day. A, the guy in the red shirt. B, gray shirt. That's my pick. That's a tough play. C, blue shirt. Or D, the eating guy. Made the catch, mouthful of food. Text us your answer. Kind of made the catch and turned around as if he was scolding someone or lecturing someone behind him. This is Rob Quinlan, who hails from the world-renowned academic and athletic institution,
Wisconsin.
3 balls, 1 strike.
Joe will like that.
University of Minnesota. Driven to deep left, and DeJesus back to the fence. It's a 1-run game. Quinlan hits his first of the year, and Bruce Chen gives up his 6th. 6 home runs in 23 innings.
A 3-1 pitch here, Ryan. And now this is a fastball that Chen just left up, middle in, and when it counts 3-1, the hitter's looking for his pitch, and he got it right there, and Quinlan drove it into the bullpen.
See Torrey Hunter in the bullpen?
When you're on the DL, he might end up anywhere. He'd want to spend a little time in the bullpen. You never get a chance to go out there, so he probably want to go out there and see what that was all about.
Yeah, why not?
I'm surprised he's out there with his hat backwards, though.
He truly is one of the good guys in the game.
He has a lot of fun.
An excellent player, great off the field, very involved in the community. He's usually his team's Roberto Clemente Award nominee. Willett somehow squirts one through on an 0-2 pitch. So he's at first with nobody out, and now the second time through for the Angels. Here's tonight's Roadrunner Turbo Speed Pitch comparison. O'Sullivan has hit 94. Chen has hit 90. And you can double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo from Time Warner Cable. Well, it's the second time in the doubleheader that Trey Hillman has taken a trip to the mound. You can see the scar on Bruce Chen's elbow. That's what's left over from the Tommy John surgery. That is no minor incision. But it's what you'd expect when you're taking a ligament from one part of the body and transplanting it into the elbow. Sean Figgins flied out of the first inning, 0 for 6 in the doubleheader and 0 for 16 against the Royals. Laying down a bunt. Chen's going to have to hurry. Low throw. Butler picks it. Nice play. It's one of those no-lose plays for Figgins. He either gets the hit, 2 on nobody out, or at the minimum, he moves Willits up to second base.
Yeah, he realized he's struggling, but like I said, he will try things, and this is a great effort by Chen to get over, and he tried to balance himself a little bit, but he made a nice throw, and Billy made a nice pickup on this throw. But you're right, Ryan. That's what Figgins did early when we went out there. He wasn't hitting the ball well, so he realized that, wait, I'm not swinging the bat well. Let me see if I can advance the runner or let's get a bit base hit out of this thing, or I'm going to get a base hit or a sacrifice. Either way, but I'm going to do something positive.
Ibar doubled his first time up. 0-1 against Chen. So he's 4 out of 5 with a walk. Scored 3 times in game 1 of the doubleheader. Angels winning 8-5. Had a 3-0 lead early. The Royals took the lead 5-4 in the 5th. And then the Angels scoring 4 runs. And the Royals did not score after the 5th. 1-1 to Ibar, and now John Buck wants to talk to Chen, who's going to meet him halfway.
I'm kind of surprised with Ibar's ability to bunt. Billy playing so deep at first base, and they don't really look at this as a situation where it's a man on second, 1 out. I'm gonna try to drive him in. You know, I mean, he will push that ball to first base pretty easy.
Mike Scioscia, who is very creative in scoring runs, trying to score runs, had the Angels do a suicide squeeze in the second inning. Frio the catch on Ibar. Willits tagging and holding, 2 down. Next Fireworks Friday is coming up this Friday with the Texas Rangers in town for a 3-game series. 7:10 first pitch. Great fireworks spectacular. After the Royals and Rangers are done, 1-800-6-ROYALS. Royals.com, the Kauffman Stadium box offices, area Hy-Vee food stores. One of the more popular Royals promotions, Hy-Vee Fireworks Friday. also presented by Pepsi. Bobby Abreu grounded out first time up. Nice stop by John Buck, ball one. Bobby Abreu has driven in 60 runs this year, but he has 7 home runs. That's the highest number of RBIs in the league for a guy who has less than 10 home runs. And that means almost every single time that he is outstanding with runners in scoring position. And there you go, 394. That is the best in the American League.
Usually when you see Ryan a low home run total like that with that many runs driven in, he's usually using the whole field also. So he's done a good job of going line to line. Talked to Mickey Hatcher, the hitting coach, and he just basically just taking what the pitchers give him. He's not going up there looking to hit home runs, but mainly just to hit the ball hard somewhere.
Now Chen and Buck having more trouble figuring out the signs.
Well, you'd also like to see the pace quicken a little bit too.
It's the first game that Chen has been in, but for most of the Royals it's the second game, and a lot of standing around today. Hit to deep right. Guillen as it sail over his head, and the Angels have tied the game with 2 in the third. So Abreu comes through again with runners in scoring position, his 61st RBI.
Again, Ryan, you see what that pitch is. The pitch is up. And for Bruce Chen to be successful, he's got to keep the ball down. And Braille just takes a nice, easy swing on it. Big ballpark, but he's hitting line drives, been hitting line drives all day. And he was able to continue that on-base percentage run driven in. And it just gets higher and higher for him.
And now he's in scoring position for Mike Napoli.
Yeah, what that pitch was, that's where Bruce Chen is going to be successful down there. Once he starts elevating, they're going to start taking good swings, and they start driving the ball on him.
And it gets harder for him the more times he faces the lineup. 0-2 on Napoli, flied out his first time up. Well, with Chen, when you're talking about elevating his fastball, you're talking about a fastball that's in the mid to upper 80s, maybe right around 90, which is a pretty good hitting speed. Now, if he's throwing 94, 95, 96, well, then he can afford to elevate a little bit.
Because he might have a little late movement on it and get some guys to foul some balls off. But he's got to keep his fastball down. He's got to keep his changeup down.
Robinson Tejeda, who hasn't pitched in a while, just starting to warm up in the bullpen, with Chen giving up 2 runs and still in trouble in the third inning. Two and two. Struck him out. Chen's first. The Angels tie it with 2 in the third.
Here, Ryan, fastball down on the out of the half, nice breaking ball down, and he made a good effort to keep the ball down and out on the corner. And he did get away with a high breaking ball right there. So that's one he probably don't want to throw again too soon to Mike Napoli.
Royals had a 2-0 lead. They got a run in the first inning. Willie Bloomquist scoring on Jose Guillen's RBI groundout. And slice towards right, and Willits runs it down. Royals' second run coming in the second. Betancourt's sac fly scored John Buck. So Willie 0 for 2. And now Billy Butler doubled his first time. Oh and 1. Good changeup. That's what we were talking about before the game. He'll throw it at any count. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
When it keeps it down there, Ryan, it makes that more of an effective pitch.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Not only a change of speed, but some movement. I think Billy thought that pitch was a fastball outside, gave up on it, and just faded back over the plate.
If you're going to throw a changeup to a right-hander, it's got to go down and it's got to stay on the outer half. If it slides back into the bat down, it could be trouble for the pitcher.
O'Sullivan without a walk or a strikeout. Typical of a lot of sinker ball pitchers. Inducing contact with every hitter that he has faced. Until now, Butler walks with 1 away. Saturday afternoons were made for baseball, and this week Fox brings you the national game of the week as Albert Pujols leads the Cardinals into Philadelphia to take on Chase Utley and the Phillies, or the Twins battle the Angels. Fox Saturday Baseball this week at 3 p.m. Central on Fox. Jose Guillen driving in his 3rd run of the doubleheader, his first time up. Rolled into a fielder's choice, getting Bloomquist home from 3rd. He had a 2-out, 2-run single in game 1. One ball, 1 strike. The Angels, one of the 9 teams that Jose Guillen has played for. He had one of his better seasons with production when he was with the Angels. Pulls it to the left side. Out at second. Kendrick to first. Double play, and the Royals are done in the 3rd. Tobacco Quit line. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Fourth inning, Royals with 1 in the first, 1 in the second. Angels tied it with 2 in the third. Gary Matthews Jr. with a 2-hopper to Callaspo. 1 pitch, 1 away for Bruce Chen. Matthews is 0 for 2. Callaspo over at third base. Mark Teahen, I don't know if we'd call it a scratch, but before game 1 of the doubleheader, Trey Hillman filled out 2 lineups. And in game 2, Teahen, who started at first, was going to start at third, but when the lineup was officially announced, Teahen was out, and Willie Bloomquist coming in from right to play second base. Callaspo moving over to third.
You know, Mark did have a double in game 1, but it was followed by a couple strikeouts, a ground out, and another strikeout. So that may have had something to do with Trey Hillman's thinking as to whether or not he thought Mark Teahen was swinging the bat well enough.
Off his foot, Chen can't find it and throws it away. Cookie Rojas once said,
well, when you know when to do something and when not to do something, you're going to be a pretty good player.
It's a base hit for Kendrick, down to second on an error by Chen. And now Frank Kite and Trey Hillman going to make sure that Chen is all right. Maybe he took it off the foot, maybe the ankle.
Well, if it stays below, it may have been below the ankle, maybe on the side of the foot. But if you're going to throw a ball, you got to make a good throw. And you got to be able to read distance between your throw, where the runner is, to first base. He threw this from behind the runner.
So instead of an out, or at least a runner at first with 1 out, Kendrick is at second. A hit and an error. Brandon Wood digs in for the second time, fly to left in the second. One and 0.
Well, when you have plays like that, Ryan, your first initial reaction is you got a lot of adrenaline going. You know the ball is around you someplace, but you got to be able to pick the ball up and see distance between the runner and the first baseman. And sometimes you just got to eat it, you know, and say, okay, I got to run it first. Let's try to get a double play and let's get out of here.
One on Brandon Wood. One home run in 19 at bats in the big leagues this year. And a changeup puts him down in the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Angels had another infielder that had some huge home run numbers in the minor leagues and just didn't pan out in the big leagues. Dallas McPherson.
I managed against him. He has some big time power. When he got to the big league, he had some back problems, and injuries was really one of the big things that kept him from reaching that potential with the bat, from what I could see.
Chen strikes him out. So runner at second, 2 down for Rob Quinlan, who homered his first time. 53% are going with D, and who's made the best catch so far. And knowing our fans, smart fans, unbiased fans, paying no attention to the eating guy's jacket, I'll bet he's getting votes from not only Lawrence, but Columbia and Manhattan. And even Lincoln, you think? 1-1 on Quinlan. Homer to left field leading off the third inning, his first of the year. When you're a team as good as the Angels, you obviously have a lot of good regular players that are producing year after year after year. So Mike Scioscia for a long time has been able to have a guy like Rob Quinlan, who doesn't get a whole lot of playing time, but you can use him at first base. He can use him at third base, right field, left field. That's exactly what Quinlan has done for the Angels. On his way to third base is Kendrick as Quinlan chops it to Bloomquist, and that's the inning. So the error doesn't hurt the Royals, and we're tied at 2 at the end of 3.5. Royals fundamental youth clinics for kids 6 to 12. 40-minute sessions include instruction from Royals alumni in hitting, pitching, and fielding. Scheduled for the 22nd, tomorrow, and August 4th, 5th, and 6th. If you'd like more information, go to royals.com/fundamentals. As Ibar runs down the soft liner from Callaspo, Alberto is 0 for 2. Mike Jacobs, who lined to third in the second inning, digs in for the second time against Sean O'Sullivan, who allowed a run in the first. He ends ground ball, getting Bloomquist to the plate, and a run in the second. Betancourt sac fly, getting John Buck home. 1-0 on Jacobs. Center field, medium deep, and Matthews brings it down, 2 away. 3 pitches, 2 outs for O'Sullivan in the 4th. And up comes John Buck, doubled with 1 out in the second inning. 2 batters later, Betancourt got him home with a foul sacrifice fly to right field. Oh, and 1. Like James Hoy, the home plate umpire, may have flinched. Thought twice. 1 ball, 1 strike. James Hoy was not on this umpiring crew for game 1. Brandon Wood is out. makes the play just inside the line, and O'Sullivan gets to the Royals with just 6 pitches in the 4th. Or maybe in a big lead, they just don't go away.
They don't go away, and the one thing, Ryan, is Quinlan comes up with the big home run, so that they just keep picking each other up in all areas, and I think that's what the one thing noticed about their team is that defensively they're real sound up the middle. They try to manage the game. They've done a good job of it, and getting that big hit when they need it, it's been really the story of the day.
Willett showing bunt, taking a strike, singled and scored in the Angels' 2-run 3rd inning. I don't know if we've seen an infield with better range this year than the Angels, at least the 3 guys that they've run out. Maybe in game 1, a little more range with Asturis at first and Kendrick. Billy Butler getting it over to Chen, retiring Reggie Willits. 1 down in the 5th inning, but when Figgins was at 3rd, Ibar at short, as Turris at second base, those are some small holes on the infield.
Well, you're right, Ryan. They do cover a lot of ground. The thing that I like about them is they just seem so alert. You know, they're always looking to set the base runner up. In the first game, Ibar faked the throw to first on a double play, looking to get the runner around in 3rd. Fitzgerald has done a great job going to his left, managing the game, just getting the lead runner, not trying to get a double play. They really just haven't tried to do too much on the field.
Figgins dropped down a sac bunt. He was trying to bunt for a base hit in the 3rd inning and was thrown out by Bruce Chen, but with a runner at first and nobody out, and that runner advancing, awarded a sacrifice, didn't lose a plate appearance. He is 0 for 16 against the Royals this year. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now Chen has to worry a bit about his pitch count as he's moving up on 80 with 1 out in the 5th inning. Brought to you by James B. Nutter and Company. One and 2 to Figgins. But as we told you in game 1 of the doubleheader, Figgins 0 for 10 when the Royals were in Anaheim in early May, but had an RBI with a sac fly in a 1-0 game, and the game-winning RBI with a sac bunt, runner coming home from 3rd. He had 2 game-winning RBIs in a series where he had no hits, and now he's 0 for 17 against the Royals this year as Chen strikes out his 3rd. I want to remind you again about Royals alumni batting practice Saturday, September the 12th here at Kauffman Stadium from 8 a.m. until noon. It's $300 for adults 25 years or older. You'll have a light breakfast here at Kauffman Stadium. In the Crown Club, you'll stretch and hit in the batting cages inside the ballpark with former Royals. Then go to the field where you'll take batting practice on the field. Former Royals will be pitching. You can shag fly balls and ground balls with the help of Royals alums on the infield and in the outfield. If you're interested, go to Royals.com or call the Royals at 816-504-4150. 0-2 the count on Ibar. Dino Ebel is the Angels' third base coach. Ibar has doubled, flied out after getting 3 hits and scoring 3 runs in the first game. Angels winning 8-5. Two and two. It's not like he broke his bat. Shallow left center, and it drops. Second hit for Ibar.
This is a real good pitch from Bruce Chen here. There's a breaking ball that goes down, Ryan, and look at that bat. That bat just snapped right off in his hands, right at his hands, and was just enough to drop it into center field.
Ibar has stolen 7 this year. The Angels have not attempted a stolen base yet tonight against Bruce Chen. And there's the first one. Ibar got a huge jump. That throw is late from Buck, but that's a stolen base on Chen, not on John Buck, even though the stat goes against Buck.
Right, he went first move, and then Chen also threw a breaking ball. He had a breaking ball to work with, so John was at a disadvantage right from the start. Bruce had the high leg kick, and John had a breaking ball also to deal with.
So Ibar has stolen 8. And Buck crossed up. Buck and Chen have had a tough time all night. They've had several meetings in between the mound and home plate.
Well, it looks like he might have been looking for a breaking ball, and a fastball. All of a sudden, he gets a breaking ball, and that's never a good thing. But if you're going to get crossed up, you better be a breaking ball than a fastball. But then Buck hasn't been catching a lot, Ryan, so that might have something to do with it too. Just getting out there, and they get one set of signs with a runner on first base, and then the runner gets to second base and want to change the sign. So just make sure they're on the same page.
1-2 to Abreu. Doubled last time up. That scored Willits and tied the game at 2. Two balls, 2 strikes. That RBI gives Abreu 10 in his last 10 games and 61 on the year. Pretty complete player when you have someone who is among the top 10 in the American League in RBIs and stolen bases. Sliced up the left field line. That's fair, and extra bases again for Abreu, and the Angels for the first time tonight have the lead. And the league's best hitter with runners in scoring position has come through twice tonight.
Well, we talked about him earlier, Ryan. The thing that makes him what he is that the fact that he will use the whole field, and He's not trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark, lefty versus lefty. He just goes with the pitch right down the left field line.
So 2 outs and nobody on. A single, a stolen base, and a double. Napoli takes a curve for a strike. Chen struck him out with that pitch in the 3rd inning. Napoli is also flied out to center. One and one. Robinson Tejeda, who was warming up in the 3rd inning, throwing again here in the 5th. One and two. Abreu to 3rd, and Buck sliding on his knees on the grass. And even if he were to somehow set his feet, I don't think he gets Abreu, who goes to 3rd on a wild pitch.
They did a real good job trying to block that ball. He blocked it off his chest, and then when he hit the grass over there with those shin guards, he just kept going.
Remember the slip and slide? Remember that?
I remember those.
Now Napoli into right center. Guillen hustling over. He's got it, and that's the inning. Angels take the lead on Abreu's 2nd RBI of the game. Every oh. Oh. Oh, I'm sorry, AT&T. And by AT&T, switch to the fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world. Oh boy, you can't beat fun at the old ballpark. It's 1-2 on Ryan Friel. The reason that was so funny is because I was handed copy that was, let's just say, manipulated. Some of the words changed and eliminated. Luckily, I remembered the read by heart, at least the Panera Bread one. Fouled off of, no, it's catcher's interference. So Ryan Friel down to first. Ryan Friel is the best guy the Royals have at catcher's interference.
That's the second time it's happened. His first at bat with the Royals, it was catcher interference. So he really doesn't stride, Ryan. He just kind of stands in the same spot. He never moves forward. And then if he swings at the ball late, then that's where he gets catcher interference. He's just strictly an upper body guy, and his feet never move, and just all upper body. When he dips that shoulder, the bat goes back, and that's when he catches the catcher's mitt.
So it's an error charge to Napoli, and no at-bat charge to Friel. That's the 9th sacrifice bunt for Yuniesky Betancourt, tying him for the league lead, and it puts the tying run at second base with 1 out. So a sac fly and now a sac bunt for Betancourt tonight. And the top of the order, and David DeJesus against Sean O'Sullivan gave up a run in the first and the second, and then scoreless innings in the third and the fourth. DeJesus has singled and grounded out. By the way, Royals baseball is also brought to you by AT&T. Switch to the fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Okay. Two and 0. Two balls, one strike. Game one was an 8-5 Angels win. The entire series in Anaheim in May, a 3-game series, the Angels outscored the Royals 8-4. That was the 3 games combined. Very low-scoring games, well-pitched games. And then a big offensive game for both teams in game one. And this would almost be considered a high-scoring game the way that first series went in early May.
It seems like the pitchers have had the advantage in all the games except game one of this doubleheader. There's opportunities to score, but just not getting those runs in.
Royals went into Anaheim with an 18-11 record. They were in first place in the Central by 3 games. They had just completed a perfect homestand 4-0 and had won 6 in a row, going back to a series in Minnesota. DeJesus takes a walk, and first and second, 1 down. And up comes Willie Bloomquist. We'll take a look at tonight's league leaders, brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers, and triples leaders in the American League. All 3 are in the lineup. Bloomquist and Figgins with 7, and David DeJesus with 6. There's David with 6, and Bloomquist at the plate with 7. Willie has scored a run, 0 for 2, reached on a fielder's choice, scored on a fielder's choice in the first inning. That series in Anaheim, the Royals were swept in 3 games. Probably felt like they could have won 1 or 2 of those games. First game, the big play was a ball misplayed in right field by Jose Guillen into a 3-run inside the park home run. It was later changed to an error, and that was the difference in the game. The second game, Royals had several opportunities on offense against Joe Saunders, but couldn't score a run, and Saunders beating Zach Greinke 1-0. Greinke really outpitched Saunders that night. His line was more impressive, but the Angels scored the only run. And then, of course, the game that really seemed to kind of throw the Royals into a funk, the final game. Royals had a lead late in the 8th inning, and a chance for an inning-ending double play on a ground ball back to Jamie Wright. The ball sailed into center field. The Angels rallied to take the lead. Miguel Olivo lost a home run in the top of the 9th inning on a great play by Torrey Hunter in center field. Royals went to Oakland, lost 2 in a row, came home to face Baltimore, lost that first game of the series, and a 6-game winning streak turned into a 6-game losing streak.
And Ron, ever since then, they just haven't been able to put their phases of the game together, where everything was on all cylinders. It seems like if the pitching was there, the defense wasn't there, the base running was inconsistent, and now they're going through this where they are still making some base running mistakes. The bullpen hasn't been sharp the last 5-6 games, and I think that's where they're having a hard time. They're having a hard time bringing it all together as one unit playing together.
Hit hard to right. Willits is there. No advance by Friel or DeJesus. 2 down. Second time that Bloomquist is lined out to right field. And now Billy Butler, who has doubled and walked. I want to remind you again about Royals Alumni Fantasy Camp, February 1st through the 5th next year at the Royals Spring Training Facility in Arizona. An all-star lineup of coaches: George Brett, John Mayberry, Frank White, Dennis Leonard, Willie Wilson, Jeff Montgomery, and others. $3,700 fee includes hotel, all ground transportation, 2 meals a day, 2 uniforms, 2 games a day, including a game against the former major leaguers at the main stadium in Surprise. There's an awards banquet. You'll get a locker in the big league clubhouse. Major league clubhouse staff will be there. The major league trainers will be there. That's the most important note.
Second day especially.
So go to the Royals website, royals.com, if you'd like more information. 0-2 on Billy. Doubled in the first, walked in the third. And we are getting very close to setting an American League record tonight for meetings between the catcher and the pitcher in the first 5 innings. Took a strike, and that's the inning. Royals strand 2 in the 5th. freeze cam back in the second inning. This fly ball from Unievsky Betancourt, scoring buck who had to avoid the bat and sliding around the tag of Mike Napoli. Coors Light freeze cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. And now John Buck catching a new pitcher as Robinson Tejeda takes over. So Bruce Chen going 5 innings, gave up 3 runs, 7 hits, didn't walk anyone, struck out 3. Tejeda with a high ERA 5.4. That's because of the 22 walks in 21 2/3 innings. Opponent's batting average good, 241, but a lot of those walks have turned into runs.
Well, it's that old saying, Ron, if you walk them, they will score. And that's held true for the Royals all season. So I'd rather just have them get on with a base hit than to walk them. It just, in the old days, walks were just something that just didn't happen. You know, back in, they would say, hey, here's 3-1 fastball, 3-2 fastball, me and you, let's go. And, you know, Catfish Hunter used to routinely lead the league in giving up home runs, but he didn't walk anybody. And so 1-run homers, you're still in the game.
Burt Blyleven for a while had the record. He allowed 50 home runs one year, and I think the year before 43. He gave like 93 home runs in 2 years, but I think something crazy like 70% of those home runs were solo home runs. And he had good years those 2 years.
I think the bottom line is that you have guys who are throwing just as hard and just as much movement on their pitches, but they just don't trust their fastballs enough in those situations that they're not going to get hit out of the ballpark. Because everybody wants to trick the hitter and try to strike the hitter out rather than try to make the hitter hit their pitch and keep it down and try to let your defense help you get out of a tough jam.
Tejeda is fallen behind Gary Matthews Jr., who is hitless in 2 at-bats. Tejeda pitching for the first time in the second half. He hasn't pitched in a game in 9 days. 3-2. The foul ball goes flying into Dayton Moore's box. 2 down from ours to the left. Good pitch down and away. Fastball with some good life to it. So Tejeda strikes out Matthews, 1 down in the 6th inning. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Kansas City Royals. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. 0-1 to Howie Kendrick. Singled last time up, lined to second in the 2nd inning. The Royals getting 5 innings out of Sidney Ponson in game 1. Ponson pitched into the 6th, faced 2 batters, did not record an out, and getting 5 innings from Bruce Chen in game 2, which is going to require a lot of work from the bullpen. It's 1-2 on Kendrick. Tejeda spent some time on the disabled list with a shoulder ailment. Before that, he was the equivalent of a closer, although he wasn't getting any saves. Maybe the better word to use would be a fireman. Trey would bring him in the middle of the game, anywhere from the 4th to the 6th, with runners in scoring position, maybe 1 out, 2 outs, and when he needed a strikeout to get out of the inning, Tejeda was his man.
He definitely was, and it all changed when Soria went down, and the roles got kind of mixed up there, and he has had a hard time working himself back into that role, but he was doing an excellent job.
Joaquim has had many nights and days like that one in the second half, just waiting to come into the game. Butler with a long run, can't quite catch up to it. Early in game one, Joel Goldberg was telling us that Trey Hillman said before the doubleheader began that Alex Gordon would not start in both games, and that Trey was going to try and get Joaquim into one of the two games of the doubleheader. So we can expect to see Joaquim at some point in this game, hopefully for a save, but he just needs to get in the game and get some work.
It's definitely been a while, and he had an opportunity the last series against Tampa Bay, but at eighth inning kind of went away from the Royals and kind of took him right out of play. But as the days start to mount, then he does need to throw. You can only throw in the bullpen so long. You have to have that real action on the mound and have that good feel for what you're doing and what you're going to be asked to do. So hopefully the Royals can come back and give him a save opportunity and give him that adrenaline that he needs when he comes in and get him fired up.
Which should make him available tomorrow. He can pitch in back-to-back games. We've seen him pitch back-to-back since coming back from the disabled list, and the Royals have an off day on Thursday. Tejeda strikes out Matthews, and now Kendrick.
Well, he just got that real quick slider. He's got that low arm slot when he goes to it, and you can just see that good choice, good changeup right there. Wow, that's one pitch you don't see much from Tejeda. And that's the one pitch too, Ryan. Just looking at the bullpen and the trends that they've had over since the All-Star break, since Bannister started throwing that power changeup, it seems like everybody out of the bullpen's coming out, especially the right-handers, trying to perfect that pitch.
Brandon Wood 0 for 2 against Bruce Chen. Nobody can find the ball. Both James Hoy, the home plate umpire, and John Buck were looking everywhere for that ball, and it was right down by their feet.
Just land right there saying, "Pick me up."
Tejeda strikes out the side. Twice with a fastball, once with a change.
The Royals are trailing 3-2 as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, and this is our Sonic Slam inning, and our contestant is Raymond Lucas from Clinton, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run this inning, Raymond will win $600. But if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Raymond, you will win $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
Jose Guillen, followed by Alberto Callaspo and Mike Jacobs against Sean O'Sullivan, who hasn't allowed a run since the 2nd inning when the Royals had a 2-0 lead. Guillen driving in one of those runs, reached with a fielder's choice in the 1st, scoring Bloomquist from 3rd. And then O'Sullivan got Guillen to ground into a double play to end the 3rd inning. Royals without a hit since the 2nd inning. And just like that, tying run on base, nobody out.
Well, Jose did the right thing here. He just took a fastball out over the plate and just really got inside the ball. And you know, early he was trying to pull the ball in the Tampa Bay series a lot. So this series he's trying to make a great effort to go up the middle in the right field. That was a nice swing.
Alberto Callaspo 0 for 2. Angels ready for a bunt. Figgins laying on the grass on the left side. Justin Spire warming up in the Angels bullpen.
Well, Trey opted to bunt with Bencourt the last time, so that's why the Angels thought that Callaspo would be bunting in this situation. But Trey just doesn't use Callaspo to bunt that often.
Well, Alberto's next sac bunt will be his first. Hasn't had one sacrifice bunt all year.
And that's unusual for a second baseman. A middle infielder you would think would have more opportunities to sacrifice, and especially if you're not hitting a lot of home runs.
Long run for 3 Angels, but not close.
What makes it tough is you get in the 6th inning and you got Jose Guillen at first base, so your odds of hitting and running with him are very slim, but you have a better chance to bunt him over than have the hit and run, swing and miss, and throw him out at second base. So for Callaspo not to have one sacrifice bunt attempt, that's sort of unheard of for a middle infielder.
Through the right side. Guillen holds at second. 1st and 2nd, nobody out. So Callaspo down in the count, gets his first hit of the night. And that brings up Mike Jacobs, who won't be bunting.
No, I don't think he'll be bunting in this situation. Callaspo did a good job just pulling this ball in the hole. He's got a lot of room over there.
Jacobs has lined out. That was to 3rd, flied out to center. Breaking ball for strike 1.
What do you like to see Mike Jacobs do here, Ryan, other than just get a base hit to put the Royals ahead, but at least hit a ball deep enough that Jose Guillen can tag and go to third base and put the tying run in scoring position for third base.
Jacobs went around. It's 0-2. Royals didn't have a whole lot of scoring opportunities where they didn't cash in game 1. They stranded 8 in 9 innings, scoring 5 runs. The game before that on Sunday, losing to Tampa Bay, the Royals stranded 13. So plenty of base runners, just not getting them home. 13 runners left on base and only 3 runs scored. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Two and two. Well, the Angels closely monitoring Sean O'Sullivan with Spire warming up in the bullpen, so they feel like he's getting close to the end. He's at 95 pitches, and one mistake here could really turn this game around. Popped him up. They call the infield fly rule, so Jacobs is out. Ibar did that on purpose. The crowd reacting, but Ibar, and they will call the infield fly rule even if you're not on the infield, but that's a heads-up play, thinking he might be able to get 2 outs.
Well, this is what we say about their middle infielders, Ryan. He drops his ball definitely on purpose. He's trying to set a force out up at second base, create a double play situation, but infield fly takes that away from him. But it just goes to show that those guys in the middle of the infield are always thinking.
Spire comes on with 2 on, 1 out. Allows 2 runs and 5 1/3, still responsible for the 2 runners on base. Tomorrow night, final game of the series. Ryan Bannister for the Royals, Joe Saunders for the Angels. Royals live at 6:30, first pitch at 7:10 in HD. Brought to you by Time Warner Cable, where HD is free with digital cable. Justin Spire for the 35th time. He'll get John Buck, and Buck fouls it off of Napoli's mask. Guillen singled, Callaspo singled. So 2 on, nobody out in a 1-run game, but O'Sullivan, and the last man that he faced, able to get Jacobs to pop up. Buck doubled and scored in the 2nd inning. That gave the Royals a 2-0 lead, but the Angels with 3 in the 2nd, 1 in the 5th. One and one. Spire, the son of former Major League infielder Chris Spire, is now a big league coach. 1-2 against Buck, so he's been around the game for a long time. Grew up in the Expos clubhouse when his dad was playing in Montreal. Actually lived in Montreal for a while. Back in the day where players actually lived where they played.
That was back in the day. everybody heads to where it's warm now. And with the year-round training that guys do today, I wouldn't blame them one bit. I mean, when we were done until after New Year's. Then we started working out. Today they work out year-round, and they have their little booklet they get from the strength and conditioning coach at the end of the year, and they have to follow it throughout the winter.
They go where it's warm, and a lot of them go where there is no state income tax. Spire, with his baseball connections with his dad, you figure he was probably a star and was destined to come to the big leagues, but he was a 55th round pick of the Cubs in '95, and that was considered a courtesy to his father. There's no such thing as the 55th round now. The draft ends at 50 rounds. David Boyce is off the hook. This guy had a much easier play than David did. And clank.
Had no one around to get in his way.
I think the Frank White statue out in right field has softer hands. 3-2 on Buck. But as David Boyce pointed out in game one, at least he gave it a shot. At least he tried. Just like David did in game one.
And I'll tell you what Lamar Johnson used to tell me when he was coaching with the Royals. He said, this is a I can league, not a I try league.
Buck strikes out. So first and second, 2 outs. After the inning began, first and second, nobody out. And now Ryan Friel. Friel on base twice, singled his first time, and then for the second time since joining the Royals, reached on catcher's interference. Well, we've seen in the last 25 years the emergence of the closer, and those guys becoming one of the highest paid players on a roster. And then maybe in the last 10 years, the emergence of the setup man. And then there are guys now like Spire who are making a very good living as the setup to the setup man, as it just gets closer and closer back to the starting pitcher as they throw fewer innings. Friel lost his bat on that swing, and a fan made a great catch. Not of the bat, of the ball. Now, how does that work out? Cardinal fan and a Royal fan.
Good debate.
Spire signing with the Angels before the 2007 season, and that's when they had Francisco Rodriguez as their closer, Scott Shields as their setup man, and just to further strengthen the bullpen, they had Spire as the setup to the setup man. Some teams have a setup to the setup to the setup man.
Say, when does it stop?
Yeah.
That's a long way from when I came in the game. All you had was starters and relievers, and the relievers became relievers because they couldn't go more than 4 or 5 innings from a start. So that then, like you say, as the money grew in the game, then the relievers weren't getting credit for what they did. So that's when the holes came in.
First and second, nobody out. Royals come up empty in the 6th. They've scored the last 3 runs after the Royals led 2-0. And the comeback began with Rob Quinlan's home run against Bruce Chen in the 3rd inning. Quinlan's first of the year. 1 for 2 against Chen. This is Robinson Tejeda's 2nd inning. And the 6th struck out the side. Got Matthews, Kendrick, and Wood. One ball, 1 strike. Angels are not picking up Tejeda's fastball.
He's got a lot of life to it, Ryan. He had pitched in 9 days. He's probably pretty strong too. He's probably got a lot of life to his fastball. His slider is nice and quick, and his changeup is also working for him tonight.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Quinlan, one of many changes for Mike Scioscia in game 2 after the Angels won the first game 8-5. Is Turris out, Morales out, Mathis out. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. Royals getting 5 innings from Bruce Chen. Gave up 3 runs, 7 hits. Up the middle on a fastball at 96. So Quinlan has 2 hits. And up comes Reggie Willits. Now at the bottom of the order in a 1-run game late, you can almost expect Mike Scioscia to do something. Sack bunt, hit and run, straight steal.
Well, with Willits at the plate, he has that option. He bunts well, and he also can be used to hit and run.
Has to bunt, pops it up, no play. Now trying a hit and run and fouls it away. So no balls, 2 strikes. MLB.com's At Bat 2009 for the iPhone and iPod Touch puts baseball live at your fingertips. You'll get play-by-play from game day, real-time box scores, video highlights, and even live game day audio. So visit Royals.com tonight or tomorrow on your iPhone or iPod Touch to download At Bat 2009. So Willits trying to advance Quinlan first with a sac bunt, then a hit and run. It's down 0-2. Another meeting. This one I don't think has as much to do with the signs as it is Tejeda having one idea of what to do 0-2 and Buck having another one, and rather than just fuss with one another with the signs, just go out and talk about it.
Well, the pitcher, you should never make a pitcher throw a pitch that he's not comfortable throwing. So it's easy, rather than sit back there and keep flashing signs and getting a no, just go out there and say, what do you want to throw? And then you just go from there.
1-2 on Willits. Willits in 2006, his first major league hit and first major league RBI right here at Kauffman Stadium. Staying alive at 1-2. Quinlan, one stolen base. He's been thrown out once. So not necessarily a threat to go. But again, Mike Scioscia probably going to try and make something happen this late in the game with the bottom of the order up there. Quinlan not running. Pulled to the right side. Bloomquist off of his glove. And the Angels have 2 on, nobody out. So a double play depth. Bloomquist position much closer to the middle than his normal spot, and that worked out perfectly for the Angels.
Well, you sure Billy went for it and kind of pulled back, but this is one of those balls that once he commits, now he's got to get back, and Willie did the best job he could to come over and just knock this ball down. But with Willard's speed, he probably didn't have a play at first base.
Well, this could be the difference in the game right here. The Royals down by 1 in the bottom of the 6th, have runners at first and second, nobody out, and no further advance. A pop-up, 2 strikeouts. And now the Angels with runners at first and second, nobody out. And what will they do with that? Figgins already has a sac bunt tonight.
Well, he'll be doing it again right here, Ryan, the way he's swinging the bat.
Or maybe not.
Well, normally when a guy's struggling like that, the way he did the first time we went into Anaheim, he wasn't swinging the bat well. It came with the big bunt to keep the game going. So I still kind of look for him to bunt in this situation.
Okay, that first pitch, though, Frank, Butler was way in at first. Callaspo was further in than he is now, and really opens up the infield if he can hit it on the ground. He's not going to bunt, and he pulls it foul.
Well, normally what you tell the batter in this situation, if the Royals put on the wheel play where the shortstop breaks to third early, then you swing away. Otherwise, you just go ahead and bunt.
And it didn't appear the Royals were putting the wheel play on. And so his job then is to bunt it right to Callaspo.
Well, if Billy's in so close at first base, yeah, I would do that. Try to make your third baseman fill the ball if you can.
Still not bunting. And it's 2-1.
Well, this would be like an unsocial-like move right here.
Two and two. Well, just a gamble on Mike Scioscia's part there that Figgins would get a pitch that he could handle, and so far he hasn't. Butler and Buck to the right side, but it's in the seats. Among the 23,874 here to see the doubleheader, most of which are here for the second game, and a T-shirt Tuesday promotion with an 80s style Royals T-shirt And on a crummy night last night because of the rain, it was overcast for most of game 1 of the doubleheader, but that all moved out. Very pleasant night, Kansas City. It's going to be a beautiful day tomorrow. Forecast with highs in the lower 80s and plenty of sunshine. Figgins works a full count. Sean Figgins is 0 for 17 against the Royals this year. He walks, and the bases are loaded with nobody out. And speaking of the bases loaded, Bob Evans has a great deal. The bases loaded 4-pack every Monday through Thursday weekday game at Kauffman Stadium. 4 Royals tickets, each ticket worth $10 towards anything you want in the stadium, concessions, merchandise, all for just $60. Juan Cruz replaces Robinson Tejeda. And I think that's what this guy is doing. See, they have the kind of the bamboo limbo, and how low can you go? And Juan Cruz was feeling pretty low during the Tampa Bay series. He took 2 of the blown saves. The comeback win for Tampa Bay on Friday, and then again on Saturday. And he inherits a mess. Bases loaded, nobody out. And he has to face Eric Ibar, who has 2 hits in this game and 5 hits in the doubleheader. 2 singles and a walk to load him up. Ball 1 from Cruz. Quinlan singled to center field. Then Willits reached with an infield single. And Figgins, who wasn't bunting with runners in first and second and nobody out, reached with a walk.
I think the one number that stands out with Juan Cruz is he's at 40 innings pitched, but it's a 21 base on balls.
Into right center field, and that's going to score at least 2, make it 3. And how far will Ibar go? He will slide in with a 3-run triple.
He does a great job using his hands and getting the ball in the alley, and Jose Guillen's not able to cut it off, and it goes to the wall. And with the speed the Angels had on the bases with Figgins on first, he was going to score on that ball. So that's 3 RBI on one swing.
Not only 6 for 8, but 4 runs scored so far and 4 driven in. I'm going to call Eric Ibar our Panera Bread player of the game. He's going to get a hand-tossed salad and an inventive sandwich. One and one to Abreu, who has a pair of RBI doubles. And if he scores from third, we'll give him a savory breakfast item. That might be another double for Abreu. And Juan Cruz is having an awful time, which is surprising because he finished the first half very strong. Still nobody out. The Angels have scored 4. And that's 3 straight RBI doubles for Bobby Abreu, who continues to lead the league with runners in scoring position. 394 with runners in scoring position. That was before a double with a runner in scoring position in the third, a double with a runner in scoring position in the fifth, and now a double with a runner in scoring position in the seventh.
Looks like a changeup here, Ryan. That Cruz left up, out over the plate. And Ibar's been down the left field line. Now it goes down the right field line. Both RBIs from second base.
What's got to be maddening for the Royals right now is just the inconsistency. Tejeda, for instance, strikes out the side in the 6th inning and then gives up 3 runs. 3 runs charged to him, that is, in the 7th inning, and didn't get a single out. Now it's 1-1 on Napoli.
Well, normally you look at a bullpen just like you look at your starting rotation. There's always one pitcher that may struggle, always one guy in the bullpen that may struggle, but the Royals' entire bullpen has been struggling, and they haven't even been able to get to Soria and give him an opportunity to get on the mound with a chance to save a ball game.
Abreu's tagging and advancing, so he's at third base with 1 out. Napoli 0 for 4, but that'll go down as a productive out. Gary Matthews to the plate with a runner at third, 1 away.
I think one of the things that's hurt Juan Cruz is the fact that he hasn't been able to get the ball down. I mean, he's a guy that has a pitch down, let his sinker work for him. He's got a real good slider. If that pitch is there, it's a good pitch. He also has a good changeup, but it's just a matter of pitch selection and making sure you keep the ball down.
Well, I brought it up as this inning was starting to build for the Angels that, the difference in this game could be the Royals not taking advantage of first and second, nobody out in the 6th inning, down by 1. And what would the Angels do with runners at first and second, nobody out in the 7th? Well, they've scored 4. If the Royals do something in the 6th, they gain some of the momentum, tie the game, perhaps take the lead, but you see it happen so often. An opportunity is out there for the taking. It is not accepted, and the other team makes you pay for that. That is an Angels fan blowing up the thunder sticks, which became popular when the Angels won the World Series in 2002. And she has a monkey on her head to, I guess, symbolize the rally monkey, which is the unofficial mascot of the Angels. 3-1 on Matthews. First and third, one out. And Bob McClure makes a move for the bullpen, and Trey calls 9-1-1. Well, Mac letting John Buck do most of the talking. So Abreu at third with his third RBI double tonight. Matthews at first with a walk. Howie Kendrick 1 for 3. One ball, no strikes. There's a good slider, 1-1. Well, Juan with a bad night at the office, but that'll all change when he gets home. His wife, Leonarda, had a baby daughter on Monday, their third child. Jaylise. Kendrick up the right field line, fair. Matthews is going to be waved home. And the throw sailed over Bloomquist, and no communication. Billy Butler had no idea there was a play at the plate. If Jose Guillen hits Willie Bloomquist, I think there's an out at home plate. Not that it would have a huge bearing on the game, but it just adds to the frustration for Trey Hillman. And now the Angels have hung a 6 on the scoreboard here in the 7th inning, and that's all for Cruz.
Has to watch the runner to see where the runners are, and here Billy really got confused as to what he wanted to do with the ball, but it's your job as a trail guy to always keep your eye on the runner and know instinctively what you're going to do with the ball if it's overthrown for the first cutoff guy. And if he hits the first cutoff guy, then you, as a trail guy, you need to let the receiving guy in front of you know exactly where to throw the ball.
So John Bale is the third reliever in this inning, and Brandon Wood is the ninth man to come up. Tejeda faced the first three batters, gave up 2 singles and a walk. All 3 scored. And then Cruz gave up a 3-run triple, an RBI double. He got a fly out to right from Napoli, then a walk and a 2-run double from Kendrick. So he's given up 3. He's still liable for Kendrick at second base. One and one on Brandon Wood, who, along with Napoli, feeling left out. Another big game for the Angels on offense. Napoli is 0 for 4, Wood 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Otherwise, Figgins, run scored. Ibar, 2 runs scored, 3 RBIs. He's had a huge doubleheader. Abreu, 1 run scored, 3 RBIs. Matthews has scored. Kendrick has driven in 2. Quinlan has scored twice and homered. And Willits has scored twice. 2-2. Mike Scioscia's team has scored 17 runs so far in the doubleheader. Texas has won 4-2. So they're trying to keep pace with the Angels, but if the Angels can hang on here tonight, they will gain a half game and be back to a 3-game lead over Texas in the West. On the corner, 2 outs. 3 strikeouts for Brandon Wood. And now Quinlan, who started all this with a single against Tejeda. Quinlan 2 hits, homered back in the 3rd inning. Royals led 2-0 going into the 3rd. Quinlan homered against Chen, then Willits singled, later scored on an Abreu double. The Royals haven't scored since. And the Angels with 2 in the 3rd, 1 in the 5th, 6 in this 7th inning. Two and one. Butler way off the line. So that's a long throw to Bale, and he throws it into the dugout. 10-2, Quinlan to second base.
Well, this play here, Billy probably went a little further than he wanted to, but he got to set his feet right here, Ryan, and try to make a throw. You can't really make that good throw. If you watch his feet right here, he's got to get his body turned. Never did quite get turned and just force the ball up. So you got to set your feet and try to make a good throw and try to hit Bell on the run to first base.
If my math is correct, on this homestand, the Royals bullpen has pitched 14 innings and given up 18 runs. A couple of the runs unearned, including the last one on the throw by Butler. It's 1-1 on Willits. He singled and scored earlier in this inning.
See, that's the one danger of playing that far off the line, is that you have to know what balls to go for and what not to go for, and that's where the communication between Billy and Willie has to really come into play. And as soon as that ball is hit, Willie's got to either call him off that ball, but then Billy went to get it, but then he's got to set his feet to make a good throw to the pitcher, because you can't. It's hard to hit that pitch on the run when your feet are moving too.
Well, you got a couple of guys who haven't played together. I mean, Callaspo's been playing at second base every day, and Butler has been the everyday first baseman. And even though second base is Willie's natural position, those two maybe don't have the communication that Callaspo and Butler did. Shallow right. Guillen makes the play. Angels score 7 to take an 8-run lead. Johnson dropping to 1-6. Billy Butler hit a home run in the 5th inning, which gave the Royals a 5-4 lead after being down 3-0. But in the end, the Angels winning, the Royals losing their 7th in a row. And now Panera takes us around the league, where New York has beaten Baltimore. They were in a first-place tie with Boston. Detroit snaps a 3-game losing streak, beating Seattle. Cleveland over Toronto. That ends the Indians' 3-game losing streak. Texas beating Boston, so now the Yankees have a 1-game lead over the Red Sox. Texas trying to hang on as they chase the Angels. Shane Lukes is the third Angels pitcher. Tampa Bay beating Chicago, so the Tigers back out to a 2-game lead in the Central, and Minnesota and Oakland tied in the 5th inning. Betancourt, sac fly RBI in the 2nd inning, sac bunt in the 5th. Two balls, 2 strikes. Let's go down to Joe Goldberg.
Well, guys, Betancourt, one of the few positives tonight, a sac fly and a sac bunt. The last time the Royals had one of each in a game was May 19th. It's the 3rd time this year. Last time the Royals had one player have a sac fly and a sac bunt in one game was June 10th, 2007, as it rolls foul against Philadelphia. Tony Pena Jr. over 2 years ago, guys.
So wait a minute, the last time
one player,
the team, had a sac bunt and a sac fly,
May 19th this year.
So over 2 months ago. But the last time a single player was 2 years ago.
Tony Pena Jr. I've had a little time to do some.
Where do you come up with this stuff?
Paul Splittorff's laptop. Another stat for you guys as well. It's not as encouraging. Juan Cruz, you guys talked about how good he had been leading up to the All-Star break. 10 games leading up to the All-Star break, as the ground ball is going to go to third base there. 10 games leading up to the All-Star break, a 0.71 ERA for Cruz. In the 3 games since, 63.00.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain because, this has come up. Trey Hillman has made reference to it. Dayton Moore has made reference to it. You're not talking about guys who should be in the minor leagues. I mean, you're talking about guys who have the pitching arsenal. They have the velocity, they have the movement, they have the breaking pitches, and maybe more importantly, they have the experience.
They've got the experience, Ryan, but they may not have the confidence right now. And who knows why a player will lose confidence? Who knows why a pitcher will lose confidence? You hear pitchers all the time talk about trust your stuff, go out there, do your thing, but you have to do what you do best. And what you do best is what you want to bring to the mound every day. But the key thing is be aggressive and be aggressive in the strike zone. And Juan Cruz is one of those guys that, one of the things that Dayton Moore liked about him was the fact that he was a swing and miss kind of pitcher.
De Jesus on base for the 3rd time and 7 times in the doubleheader. Willie Bloomquist 0 for 3. He has scored a run. Royals have faced Shane Lukes. He started one of the games when the Royals were in Anaheim back in May. Just foul. Really a neat story. Shane Lukes was once a big prospect in the Tigers organization, drafted in the 2nd round, but was out of baseball, out of the big leagues, after getting his first major league win in 03. No big league action from 04 to 07. 2 of those years he didn't pitch professionally at all. Figgins, nice play, out at second, double play, second double play the Royals have hit into tonight. 8th inning, 10-2 Angels. Well, Jamie Wright now has to appear in both games of the doubleheader, and that's after going 2 innings in game 1. So hoping that he can get through the 8th. We'll probably see Joakim Sori in the 9th. Joel was telling us that Trey Hillman said he needed to get Joakim in a game. It'll be Figgins, Ibar, and Abreu. The Angels just batted 11 in the 7th inning and scored 7. One ball, one strike. Now Figgins has been productive against the Royals this year at the plate, but without a hit. He's 0 for 17 against KC. He went around on appeal to third base umpire Delphin Colon. 2 RBIs when the Royals were in Anaheim, 1 on a sac fly, 1 on a sac bunt, a safety squeeze. He has walked and scored tonight, and he's laid down a sac bunt, which has led to a run. But hitting at .304, he's having a good season overall. He leads the league in runs scored with 73, but he does not have a hit against the Royals. On the corner, Figgins knew it, so he's 0 for 18 against KC. So Jamie Wright really taking one for the team, as they say, and now faces Eric Ibar.
Well, the best thing you can do when you have to come in after 2 innings in the first game, it's the best thing to do is just throw strikes, Ryan, and just hope to hit it at somebody. Don't try to build your pitch count by trying to strike guys out.
Ibar's had an outstanding day. 3 hits in both games of the doubleheader. So 6 hits total, 5 runs scored, 4 runs driven in. He also has a walk, so he's been on base 7 times. You know, the Latin players really have a huge advantage before they get to the big leagues, playing in the winter leagues. So minor league guys playing with big leaguers during the off season. And I've always felt that players from Puerto Rico, there's another hit. So 7 hits, 8 times on base in the doubleheader. But the players from Puerto Rico and Venezuela, Dominican Republic, you know, they get to the big leagues. They've played in front of huge crowds. They've played in front of wild crowds. They've played with big leaguers. They've picked the minds of big leaguers. And some guys, you can really see that with their baseball instincts, even though they don't have a whole lot of big league time once they get here.
Well, the maturity and knowing the game, they have an idea how to play the game. I think you're right. These guys go right from here, take a little time off, and go right into their professional winter leagues where they are playing with some of the bigger names like Abreu and guys like that who can really help these guys really come along. And, you know, a lot of our American players, we go to the Arizona Fall League where the competition is really not as good as what these guys are playing against, and you don't play under the type of stresses that you would play. I mean, there's virtually nobody in the stands but scouts in the Arizona Fall League, and where you say these guys play the ruckus crowds. And I remember it used to be a 225 pitch, at bat thing. If you didn't get 225 at bats, you go look to play winter ball somewhere. And that's where I played 2 years in Venezuela, 1 year in Puerto Rico, but I don't think a lot of our American players even think about going to, some of our better players think about going to winter ball.
Bobby Abreu has hit an RBI double in his last 3 at bats. Look out. Well, the American players, they might play in front of a few hundred fans in high school. Now, if they go to a top-notch college program, they might play in front of, 5, 6, 7, 8,000 fans, and then maybe in the minor leagues, depending on how well their particular affiliate draws, maybe about the same, 5, 6, 7. Maybe you'll get a game where you have 10, 12,000, but then you come into a ballpark with 3 or 4 decks and you got 40,000 fans. I mean, there's just nothing even close to that. And you're of course the manager says, well, just go out and play ball. Yeah. Right.
Well, the expectations are not the same. In winter ball, that's their winter league, and they expect to win, and they go out to win, and they want to go to the Caribbean World Series, and they want to win that. So that's why the experience level of the players who play in winter ball is a lot stronger than the experience level of the guys who play, say, in instructional league or the Arizona Fall League.
And there have been several big-name prospects, American prospects, who have gone to Winter League, don't play very well for a couple weeks, they'll send you home. I mean, they don't care that you're there to work on your game.
Right, you have to perform, and you can only have so many American guys on each team. So they always have someone waiting in the wings to take your place if you don't perform. It's all about performance down there. They don't care what your name is.
Did that mean a lot to your career, those winter ball years in Venezuela, Puerto Rico?
Well, I was a utility guy, so I needed those games, and it gave me an opportunity to go down there and work on playing second base. I went down and played for Cookie one year in Venezuela, and we went out every day and worked at second base. So those are the benefits of going down there. Is you got to have a reason to go other than just money. You got to have something that you want to get accomplished as far as your career goes.
Abreu down to first, so 2 on, 1 out. And up comes Mike Napoli, who is feeling left out, although he's done a good job behind the plate, holding the Royals to 2 runs, 6 hits in 7 innings, but at the plate, 0 for 4.
You talk to Mike Aviles and what he had to go through, and he would tell you flat out, just going to winter ball really resurrected his career and gave him an opportunity to get more quality games, face big league pitching, and then when he came back here, his numbers at AAA he just kept going, and he would credit that as the reason he was able to be so successful at AAA and get a call to the big leagues.
And 2. I would think, and of course I never played in the Arizona Fall League or in the Winter League, but even though you're a long way from home going to one of the Latin American countries, it must be easier to go to the ballpark with the energy in the stadium as opposed to, like you said, just going and playing in front of a couple dozen scouts.
Well, I've managed the Arizona Fall League twice, and I tell you, Ryan, there's nothing like it. I mean, like I say, you just got all scouts, maybe some family there, but that's it. Nobody's buying tickets until all the snowbirds start to come down toward the end. Then those people will show up. But early, these guys got to go out and generate their own excitement. But over there, you're walking into a full stadium every day.
Napoli is 0 for 5. So 2 down. Jamie Wright has struck out 2 in the inning. And Mike Scioscia has no problem whatsoever with Napoli being 0 for 5. His team has scored 10 runs without Napoli, but Napoli's called a good game so far for Sean O'Sullivan, Justin Spire, and Shane Lukes. 1-0 on Gary Matthews Jr. 0 for 3, walked and scored in the Angels' 7-run 7th inning. Bruce Chen went 5 innings, gave up 3 runs. Robinson Tejeda 1 inning, plus 3 batters in his next inning, gave up 3 runs. Juan Cruz, a third of an inning, gave up 4 runs. John Bale, 2/3 scoreless. And now Jamie Wright, 2-1 to Gary Matthews Jr. Three and one. De Jesus coming up in left, and that's the inning. Scoreless 8 for Jamie Wright. Billy Butler, Jose Guillen, Alberto Callaspo against Shane Lukes. One down in the bottom of the 8th. Billy 1 for 3 with a walk. If you were to ask Shane Lukes if he believes in fate, I think I know what his answer would be. Told you he was a prospect with the Tigers, a 2nd-round pick. Won a big league game in 2003 and then was out of the big leagues from 04 to 07. No professional baseball at all in 05 and 07. He pitched at Omaha in the Royals organization in 06. He was in spring training with the Mariners in 07 and was released and then couldn't find a job. Couldn't get another team to sign him on to a major league or a minor league deal. So he decided he was going to go back to Arizona and finish up school, and that was his way of saying, okay, I made it to the big leagues, my professional career is over. But he never could quite get around to it. He was coaching some high school, some youth league teams, doing some private lessons for pitchers. He pitched in a beer league, 3 innings in one of those games. He walked Guillen with 1 out. But as fate would have it, one day he was pitching at an indoor facility in Arizona and working with a prospect, and the prospect said, "Now, you used to pitch in the big leagues, didn't you?" And, "Yeah, I did a few years back." "Well, I want to see you pitch." So he got on the mound and started throwing to the catcher just for the heck of it. Well, the owner of the facility just happened to be walking by and noticed a big guy throwing hard. He happened to know an Angel scout, gave him a call and said, "You know, I got this guy who's been coming around here working with some younger players. You might want to take a look at him." So the Angel scout came out and watched him, signed him to a minor league deal last year. So he was back in the game and called up to the Angels this year, beat the Orioles back in April. It was his first big league win in 6 years. And who knows what would happen if that guy who owned the facility didn't happen to be walking by and saw him throwing off the mound.
Yeah, that's the one thing in this game. A lot of times scouts will go to the ball game to watch one guy and end up discovering someone else, and that happens all the time. And like I tell players, when you play in the game, you have to play hard all the time because you never know who's watching. And that's a great story. I mean, that's a story that should be retold over and over again to guys who don't want to stick it out. You know, guys who want to take a day off and not give that 100% every day.
I remember when Shane Lukes was pitching for the Tigers, and there was a story about him at the end of that 2003 season that every professional year, no matter where his season ended, his father would fly in for that final game, and they would rent a car and drive home back to Arizona, no matter where his season ended, and just talk about life. They wouldn't talk about baseball for one moment for that drive back from wherever the season ended. Could have been in Florida, could have been somewhere on the East Coast, maybe in the Midwest, and it was a tradition that they had every year. And now the tradition lives on as he's back in professional baseball. Still 3-2 on Callaspo. Been some great stories this year about guys who had given up or thought their career was over. Scott Richmond with the Blue Jays. Remember, he was a guy working on the docks in Vancouver, scraping barnacles off of boats.
That was a great story.
Callaspo caught by Quinlan in left field, 2 down.
Yeah, he came back through the independent leagues.
Came back to the independent leagues, was a freshman in college at the age of 21. Bounced around, got a tryout with the Blue Jays. Matt Palmer, who pitches for the Angels, was a guy who was stuck in Double-A forever with the Giants. Was thinking about quitting. His wife said no, give it one more year. Signed on with the Angels, got to the big leagues. Want to know on Mike Jacobs, 0 for 3 tonight. Ibar out, Quinlan in, Quinlan the catch. Royals down in the 8th inning. There's our buddy Chris out in left field. He's clapping because Joakim Soria is coming on in the top of the ninth to get some work. Immediately after the game from Rival Sports Bar out in right field, it's Boulevard Royals Live, brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City's beer, with Joel, Jamie, and Split. Now Joakim with his first appearance in the second half. Royals bullpen just couldn't quite get to him in the weekend series against Tampa Bay. Trey Hillman hearing it from the fans for not bringing Soria in earlier in the eighth, but Trey has decided that Joakim Soria will not be a 5-out closer. It's a ground ball from Kendrick. Safe. Bloomquist will be charged with an error, and that's the Royals' third tonight. Talking about it the other day, Frank, that I think most managers would agree that closers are not 6-out guys, at least not today. Now, Dan Quisenberry, I'm sure somewhere, is shaking his head at that, because he would go more than 6 outs. The gray area is 5 outs. Some managers will use their closer for 5, others won't. Most will use their closer for 4 outs. They prefer just to go 3. The majority go 3, but most, if needed, will go 4. But Trey has decided, with Joakim having Tommy John surgery, a shoulder problem this year, and the Royals are way out of it in the Central, that there's really no need at this point to risk Joakim being injured. So 4 outs, yes. 5 outs, no.
Well, I think with Joakim, the thing you have to remember about him, Ryan, is the fact that he throws strikes. If he was one of those guys that went in there was 3-2 to every hitter, then that's a closer that you probably wouldn't want to run out there for 5 outs. But he throws strikes, he minimizes his pitches, and I think you have to look at him kind of that way. I don't know that there are times, if you're going to continue to lose the game in the 8th, there are times where you may have to just run him out there. You may have to skip him a day or 2, but to win that one game, it might be worth it.
Maybe take the chance that he has a 6-pitch inning.
Well, that's what I would look at. I would look at the fact that he throws strikes.
Royals get 1 out, forcing out Kendrick. So Brandon Wood reaches. He's 0 for 5 tonight. 1 out in the 9th. And Soria seems to have that ability with all of his pitches, that you could almost go to the mound and say, okay, look, we really need you to be very efficient here. He probably could pull that off. And not that he ever wants to extend an at-bat and throw a lot of pitches, but he can start using different pitches and afford to fall behind and have a few foul balls, which will extend his pitch count and still get out of the inning.
Well, that's my main thing with him, is that he's not a guy to waste pitches. He's not a guy to go out and he's 3-2 to every hitter. He goes out and he throws strikes, and his innings have been relatively quick. And I think that when you look at him from that standpoint, you can trust him with 5 outs and a win. But I know that there are unwritten rules in the game, how you should use your closer, but I think you should use your players according to how your team is playing, and not what baseball would perceive that why are you doing this, why are you doing that. But it's all about winning the game and what you have to do for your team to win the game, and not what everybody else thinks you ought to do.
Well, Terry Francona last year in the All-Star game wasn't bashful about using Soria in 2 innings. Of course, that was before Joakim's shoulder injury this year. Two and 2 on Quinlan.
I think too, Ryan, you can look at the score of the game. If it's the 8th inning, you're trying to protect a 1-run lead, it might be risky to try to bring him in for a 5-out close, because one run they can tie the game up, and then now you got another situation to deal with. But if you're looking at the 8th inning with a 3-run lead and maybe it's 2 outs or maybe 1 out, then you may want to gamble one time, but it's not something you probably want to make a practice of. But right now, where the Royals were getting killed in the last series with Tampa Bay was that 8th inning. They've been giving up a lot of runs in that 8th inning, and like I say, you don't want to do it a lot, but there may be times where you have to do it at least once, and maybe skip him a day, and then I think managers like to be able to use their closer every day if they can, but to me, it's all about how your team's playing.
All 3 of those Tampa Bay games were 1-run games, so there was very little margin for error, and as it turned out, a blown save in each of those 3 games in the 8th. Joaquin running it up there at 93. Willits has scored twice.
I think the one thing about the Tampa Bay bullpen is that you don't have a closer. They don't have a set closer. They kind of go by who's doing well at the time. And you look at their J.P. Howell's got 5 wins and Balfour's got 4 wins. So they kind of spread it around out there. And right now J.P. Howell seems to be the hot guy for them, so they're going with him. But he has the ability to throw 2 or 3 innings if he has to.
Remaining crowd chanting Soria. I think they want to see a big slow curveball. Instead, it's the power change. Willett strikes out. Soria has a scoreless night. Pitchers for the Angels were starters. The Royals were in Anaheim in May. Shane Lukes and Matt Palmer. Palmer played his college games at Southwest Missouri State. John Buck 1 for 3, doubled and scored back in the 2nd inning. It goes after the first pitch and is thrown out by Ibar. Telling you about Palmer's story when we were discussing Shane Lukes last half inning. Drafted by the Giants out of Southwest Missouri State in the 31st round in 2002. Spent 7 years in the minor leagues. 4 years at Double-A for the Giants. And admittedly got a little comfortable in their farm system. Lived on a lake and was able to fish every day, playing for the same Double-A team for 4 straight years. He was ready to quit in 2007 and pursue his degree that he got at Southwest Missouri State, which was in horticulture. But his wife, Michelle, convinced him not to, so we went back in 08, got to the big leagues with the Giants, and then signed as a minor league free agent with the Angels. Friel 1 for 4, 2 down in the 9th inning, and ended up getting his first major league win in April against the Tigers. He gave the game ball to his wife. You can see his wedding ring. Well, he just put it in his glove, but in honor of his wife, who convinced him to continue his professional career, wears his wedding ring under his glove, gave her the game ball after winning that game in April. So a couple of guys whose careers were that close to being over, Shane Lukes and Matt Palmer, not only still pitching, but pitching on a first place team. And they helped contribute to the Angels sweeping a doubleheader at Kauffman Stadium. So two teams at the moment headed in opposite directions. The Angels have won 25 of their last 34. And the Royals have matched a season high with 8 consecutive losses. Angels 8-5 in game